Hi guys, I've got another scrapbook layout for you today as part of the Pink Paislee design team, and today I am using the Again and Again collection. I really love this, it's so pretty, and what I really wanted to do was use that rainbow paper. It's so cute, and I think it's going to go perfectly with my little photo of Lil here. But what I do want to do is create a title out of a cut file, so I am going to take you over to my computer and show you how I made my own. So I've just brought my photo into my Silhouette Studio software and I've sized it to the size that I've printed it out, just so I can get an idea of how big I want my title to be. And I've used the text tool and I have typed out the word 10 because that's what I want my title to be. And the font that I've used, I like using for these sorts of overlaid titles, is Arial Black. It actually doesn't matter what size this is at the moment. It's 288 points up here, but we'll resize that to fit our photo in just 1 second. So the first thing I want to do is go to my modify palette and detach the lines just to make these an outline rather than a font. And before I go any further, I'm just going to move the letters a bit further apart. We'll shuffle them around again later, but what we don't want to do is have them too close together in the next step. Then I'm going to grab all 3 of those letters and go to my offset tool, and I'm going to just choose offset. It's up to you whether you like straight corners or rounded corners. And what I want to do is make these a little bit bigger, and I think I'm going to do straight corners in here, and I just want to make it, like I said, it's up to you how big you want to make it. What I'm looking at is in here I want there to be a separate line for the E, so I'll show you what I mean. If you go too fat, you lose that line in between and it sort of becomes less of a shape and less of an outline. It just doesn't look quite as good. I think sort of 185 looks good, so I'm gonna go apply. So now each of these letters has two lines here. I want to grab both of those, and in my modify palette I'm just going to make those a compound path. So I'm going to do that for each of the letters. And then just to make it easier for you and me to see, I'm just going to fill those paths so that I can see what I'm doing. And then it's just a matter of moving your letters, manipulating them until they're crossed over enough so that you've got a little piece in the middle. That's what we're going to fill in. But also that they're separate enough that you can still read them as a word. Once you've got that roughly how you like it, grab all 3 of those, or however many letters that you've got, and you just want to weld that together. And now you have one cut file for a title. So this is the size of my photo, and I want to just pop that photo to the back so I can see what I'm doing. This is how it's going to look, and I want to resize this just a little bit, I think, so that it's a bit more size appropriate for my photo. I want it to overlap my photo a little bit, but not too much. So I think that is probably a good size for the photo that I've got. Now I don't need my photo anymore. I want to grab my cut file and I want to duplicate that 2 times. So this first duplication down the bottom here on my modify palette, I want to release it. And then I want to delete all the pieces in here. Well, not quite all of them. I want to delete all of the pieces that are going to be backed with pattern paper, like this. Now these 2 are actually the inside of the E's. So then I want to select those 3. And I want to subtract, and that gives me the actual backing of my cut file. This is my cut file here at the top, and then this one here in the middle, I want to release that. and then I want to delete the outline, so that's the larger piece at the outline, and I don't need the insides of the E's. And then this gives me all of my pieces for cutting. So I'm going to use pattern paper to back this cut file, and I want all of these to be different patterns of paper. And these two here I'm just going to cut in white. So I am going to go ahead and do that and then show you how I construct the cut file. So after I'm finished cutting everything out, these are the pieces that I'm left with, and I'm going to start putting the cut file title together. So this is the outline piece, and I've just added a little bit of glue pen around all of the wee pieces of this cut file, and then I'm lining it up on the background exactly where it should be, gluing that together and on it. And you can see what we're going to do here. We're going to fill in all of these little inside pieces with the other pattern paper pieces that we cut. So it's basically like putting together a jigsaw. Now there are heaps and heaps of ways of backing cut files, and this is a really simple one because you don't have to worry about cutting anything out. The silhouette does all of that for you. All you need to do is just glue all the little pieces inside. So you can see I've cut the main pieces of the T, E and N in pattern paper, and then all those little filler pieces I've cut in different patterns, and that is my cut file title basically all done. The only other thing that I want to do to it is add a little bit of foam. I've just got some craft foam, cut it into strips, and I'm going to cover the back of the cut file with the foam because I want that to be a little bit more raised than the photo. The rest of my layout is going to be really flat, and this craft foam is not particularly thick at all, so it's not going to add too much bulk onto my layout, but it does just give me that tiny little piece of dimension to it. And you can see there it's really easy. I am just covering the entire thing to make sure it stays nice and flat. So now I can pretty much go ahead and construct my layout. I am going to add to the word 10. I'm going to put that sticker behind the cut file, so it's going to read 10 Beautiful Years is my title. But I'm just slightly worried about losing everything on the background. So this background paper, you can see here I'm adding a little bit of gesso, which is white, which shows you how sort of beige this background paper is. So I'm adding the gesso just to give a little bit more contrast between my photo, the title, and the actual background paper, because this is going to be a really simple layout. I do want everything to stand out really well. So I've added the gesso, and before I go ahead and let that all dry off, I'm also going to add a few little white splatters with some Liquitex white ink. I really love this Liquitex ink for opaque white dots. So you can see there it stands out. Even the smallest little dot, it doesn't absorb into the paper and disappear. It stays as really bright, vivid white dots, which on a lighter beigey kind of background like this is nice. So I'm just adding a few little spots, kind of all over, but mostly in 3 spaces. So I've got the top left, the bottom right, and then a little bit more on the right, a bit further up. And then I went and let that dry. I'll admit I was not particularly patient, and I did go and hit it with a heat gun just to dry it off that little bit quicker so that I can carry on with my layout. So I'm just using a few of these like cardboard stickers to create clusters of embellishments. I thought that I was going to add 3, that's why I've added the spots onto the right hand side. But actually in the end, I think the title down the bottom is going to create its own sort of cluster because I've used that beautiful sticker. It already has the florals on it, so that ends up becoming its own little cluster. So I really only need to create 2 other ones, which is handy because I've got 2 of these big pink floral die cuts and a couple of those floral stickers, and it does just lend itself to making that beautiful pattern of 3 clusters that is just going to draw your eye around the page. So I'm super happy with that, and I'm going to start sticking stuff down. I did say this was a simple layout. I'm just carefully lifting those stickers off. I was trying to be careful when I was placing that I wasn't pressing down too hard. They do stick quite well to that gesso, especially since it's still the tiniest bit, like it's not perfectly dry, so they stick quite well to that. I have to be very careful. And I've just stuck down the die cuts behind those stickers and then adhere the stickers over the top. I haven't stuck down my photo yet, and I'm just using a T-square ruler to make sure that when I place this beautiful sticker, the word beautiful is actually perpendicular to the paper. I want to try and get everything as straight and centered as I can. So this is what I'm doing now. I'm trying to make sure that my photo is not only straight but also centered on the page. I don't want it to be on one side or the other. It's a really central layout, this one. So once I've got that done, and I can do the same thing with my cut file just to make sure that's straight, especially since I have got all of those straight lines. I want to make sure that it's straight, that it's centered onto my photo, and that it's not covering up any of the word beautiful underneath. Then I'm just adding some adhesive to the craft foam, and I can stick that down, and this page is pretty much almost done already. That's how quick it is. These alphas from the Again and Again collection are maybe my favorite alphas of the year. They are so gorgeous. They are a wood grain look on top and this really beautiful pink foam underneath. They're already my favorite style, those tiny little letters, but that combination of wood grain and pink is just gorgeous. Now I am going to add some journaling onto this layout, and I didn't want to use a black pen. I want the focal point to be the photo, and that's the only thing that really is black on this page. So I grabbed a navy blue pen, or it's slightly lighter than navy blue, just so it doesn't take up quite so much focus. I drew a few lines using that T-square ruler again to make sure they are straight, and I'm just going to add a few lines of journaling underneath my title, trying to get that reasonably centered on the page as well. Now I am going to date stamp this layout. I just want to do that in a blue ink as well, again just to try and tie all of the colours in together. And that's my layout all done. Super simple. It's really easy to customize titles exactly how you want them in the Silhouette Studio software, and I love how this one turned out. Thanks for watching, guys, and if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. If you want to keep watching, there's a couple more videos on screen, or why not check out my Patreon page? There are even more videos over there. Otherwise, I'll see you guys next time. Bye!